The legendary Lee Eifler, ladies and gentlemen. The man needs no introduction in a very short time. This entrepreneur has, and he came from other industries, brought his best practices from there. Charlie Munger said it's a multidisciplinary approach to be a successful investor. And what we're doing as side owners, even though we're not necessarily investing a lot of money, maybe all the time, we're investing time, which is opportunity cost for something else. Lee, you've done it well in other industries. You've ramped up your site in the last, what, 4 years? Your site's 4 years old?
This one, yeah. It's 3 years.
This this one. So let me do the intro again. Serial site owner. You've how's the other one going? You guys got the exit yet, or you can't talk about it?
Can't really talk about it, but should be
Okay,
executed by the end of next month.
okay, that's good. So Lee's got a site in Phoenix,
And then
multiple
one in Phoenix
sites.
shuts down.
Huh?
I said one in Phoenix you visited that shut down.
Yes, that was a interesting situation that would be awesome for a video, but we couldn't. That'd be like a reality show,
Yeah.
series. I would need like a year and like a good production team to actually fully tell the entire story. Is that person still around, like practicing or?
I I I believe so, yes.
Okay,
Practice medicine, I don't know about. I think they went out on their own to do research independently, but
yikes.
I don't
All we
know.
could say is yikes. But anyways, Lee Eifler is a strong supporter of Save Our Sites. He was there helping us put those gift baskets together, the gift bags. So if you were one of the people that came to the first year Save Our Sites conference, just shoot Lee a LinkedIn message. Thank you for putting the bags together. Lee was there early with everyone else from the team, putting the goodie bags together. Lee always goes out of his way to help other site owners. So if you're a site owner that wants to network, you're also a huge fan of Patient Ace, my recent startup for recruitment. You want to talk a little bit
Huge,
about that?
huge fan. Huge fan.
Huge, huge. Yeah,
Yes.
me too. Me too. I love the Patient Ace. Now we're integrating it with your company's website. So if you've got a website, which everyone does, they're integrating a chat feature on it, in which the leads go straight to the Patient Ace interface for the site.
Yeah, I'm going to use it actually to send out a monthly newsletter.
Patient Ace? Okay, this is going to take on a life of its own. This is why we love having beta users and pre-beta, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Sorry, Ronick. My apologies to Ronick for what Lee's category actually is. But you were like maybe one of the first 5 users of
You
Patient
know
Ace.
what's unique about it is if you're going to use any type of marketing, I think people disqualify patients too quickly, and then they say, "Oh, I'm not wasting my time with them." Of one ad I placed, I've enrolled 3 patients in other studies. They didn't qualify
Hmm.
for the one that I was really going for, but just by questioning them, I got some in different indications.
Happens all the time. This is why we were talking before we hit record, about the studies coming up. And you were saying you have a new monitor that's been assigned. So the CROs, even though they laid off a bunch of people, they're still struggling with turnover, apparently. And you were saying what was the semi-shady game the monitor was trying to play with you?
Oh, it just they tried to schedule for asked me anytime I had available in the next few weeks, and then emailed the sponsor and said they tried to set up a time next week, or they gave us only options for next week. But I think they were trying to buy themselves time because they didn't want to do it next week. But we're ready
I
to go.
see.
We've been waiting for a long time. I've got three.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a.
Man, this study startup, like maybe we start there. When you get, and for us, a lot is like we have 8 on the board. 3 are like for sure. No, sorry, 4 are for sure that we're getting. And then the other 4 are SSBs already happened or they're going to happen. It's hard to know exactly when you could screen because for this one study, we've had our SIV a month ago and we've been waiting on drug for a month. Nobody told us that the protocol signature page we sent, the sponsor didn't accept it because of the date format. So no one bothered to mention that at the sponsor. And then like a month goes by and I'm like, hey, what's going on with the IP? Somebody just now replied, well, because the date format was wrong, we didn't, that's what's the holdup. And I'm like, well, it would have been great to know this. Like, why didn't anyone tell us? We're ready to go. Like, we're here not screening for other studies so we can pre-screen for this one. And I feel like with every study, it's another challenge for getting started. Like, it's never the same process or the same issues, but there always are issues.
Yeah, it does seem like the delay in startup is the amount that's happened is kind of amazing to me. Like, I can't figure this out. I've got this weird situation, kind of separate topic right now. So
Yeah.
I'm split because I've grown in between two buildings. Now they're in the same parking lot, but they're just across the way, maybe 75 feet apart. And so
Okay.
I've got to dedicate either one study to one location or one to the other because it's just such a hassle getting a good drug transport SOP and then everything, all the hoops you have to jump through if you were to literally to want to walk across the parking lot with medication.
Ah, I see. But you
So
can't. So we also use multiple offices for some studies, and we always put two addresses on the 1572, and then you're right though. We always
I
pick
do that
one place that the IP is gonna
too.
be.
Yeah, that's what I have
Yeah.
to do. I have them both on the 1572, so we can see patients at both places, but dosing can only be done at one.
Yeah. But
Like
so
flexibility to
I actually have something. Hold on. This is riveting podcast material. I bought this thing. I got it calibrated and everything. This is a temperature controlled car transporter for IP,
Mhm.
and it's in my SOP. So it's a pain in the ass to do it, which is why we still keep the IP
Yeah.
in one place. But we're allowed. They no sponsor will have a problem with it. They've seen it and they say, okay, you can do that. But we ended up just keeping it at one place.
Well, I mean, we're a walk away. We walk out the door and walk around the corner into the other suite.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't even need. You would need like a cooler. You'd probably that would be hard to control the temperature. That's harder than in the car.
Well, no, I mean it's no different than walking out to your car. I'm in the same
That's
parking.
true. That's true. Yeah, it's such a weird, this industry, I feel like has so many weird, I understand why there's so many regulations, but a lot of it's just common sense, like especially in a case like yours.
Yeah,
And I mean, no one's saying you're going to do this or recommending it, but you could just walk it across if you had to. I mean,
right,
patients, as soon as you give it to the patient, they're going to leave. And who
right.
knows what the temperature is when it's in their hand.
Yep. So I've liked the flexibility to store the drug in both locations. Have it shipped to one and let me just walk it over. But they want, like a temp tail and they're like,
So are you
well,
paying two? You're paying two different rents? You have two
kind of.
completely different rents?
Yep.
Same landlord?
No, same landlord. So what happens is I have a standalone site, which is separate, but now I'm taking on a bunch of space inside their clinic just because I need the extra
Ah,
space.
okay. So one of them is the clinic. Yeah, that's just like ours. One of them is the clinic. The other one is the research hub. That's where I'm sitting at right now is the research hub. And then the other one is the actual clinic itself.
That's precisely it. And I mean,
Okay.
they're in walking distance. So there's a huge benefit to the clinic initially because I planned on drawing a lot of my patients from there and I still do. But with Patient Ace now, I'm kind of killing it outside of that.
Yeah. Us too, man. I actually slowed down on one particular study. That's why I'm like, it's like urgent to start screening these other studies because otherwise I wouldn't really be as motivated to start screening new studies where we're doing well on the studies we have. But we've been told we're pushing high enroller. We're gonna be trending towards high enroller. So I decided to slow down. I play it relatively conservative despite what people think based on my YouTube channels. Like I'm fairly conservative. I'm not necessarily afraid of an audit, but it's not really something I want to attract. I'm just
I
playing
don't
it
know.
smart, I think.
Hightower has me all confident. He posted
Hightower's
it.
cut from a different cloth, though. Like that guy seems like he was born to push boundaries. That's definitely not me.
Yeah.
And you're somewhere, I don't know. You might be more on the Brad spectrum
No, I'm
than
probably in between. I'm probably
yeah,
in between.
yeah, yeah. Although Ronick and them keep telling me, "Hey, go be number one enroller," and that would be like great marketing for Patient Ace. And I
Um,
told them, "Well, when the FDA comes, I want you coming down here and dealing with them." But we're according to our monitors, we're fine. Like everything's fine, but it's really the last thing I want. Again, opportunity cost. I already know if the FDA comes, that's like a week that we're not really doing much other than dealing with them.
Yeah. I have one that I might end up a top enroller on. This one that I'm about to get activated on.
Can
Um,
you talk about anything like being vague or no?
no, not yet, because I need to get the patient allotment out of the, upped from the sponsor,
Why why are you so excited about it?
just because it's a really unique patient population. I have an abundance of chronic kidney disease,
Okay.
and it's, high BMI with chronic kidney disease, and it just fits the patient population I have because they also have to, be hypertensive, but most people that have chronic kidney disease have hypertension anyway, so it's not too hard, but I've just, it's a sweet spot inside our EMR from actual patients.
How's
Um,
your staffing situation been as far
uh,
as
I'm
keeping
bringing,
up with training and stuff?
I've got 4 coordinators now, but I need to pick up a couple more. I've got a vaccine study that's going to be really high enrolling. Um, so
Wait, so you've got four full-time coordinators?
I have 4 full-time
Does that
coordinators.
include the one that I know, or is that the fifth?
No, she's the fourth,
Or she's the fourth? Okay.
but I'm hiring a fifth and a sixth. Um,
Wow. Like
or
right back to back.
yeah, right back to back. As soon as I get activated on it'll probably be a month before I get activated on this vaccine study because we're going to do somewhere between 300 and 600 patients.
So
Uh,
you're gonna put on the vaccine study three. For those that have never done vaccine studies, like kind of me, I've done two, but we've never enrolled too many people. The like this is fairly normal. Maybe not 300 is not normal, but like to enroll like 50, 80 patients is not unusual in a vaccine study.
no, 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 not even at 500. I don't think I'll be the top enroller.
How many sites are they getting? Do you know?
Quite a bit, but I mean, it's an enormous patient population.
I see. So for vaccine studies, the
There's,
number of patients
yeah,
needed is
20, 30,000.
30,000. Okay. All right. Are you've done both now, right? Like you've done other vaccine trials.
Mhm. I did a lower
What
one because it was for adolescents.
what do you actually prefer? Like the kind of studies I do that you and I talk about a lot, or like the ones where it's kind of hard to find a patient, but once they're in for like a long time, and like it becomes like an obesity thing, or like what do you like better? What do you prefer?
It depends, I mean, I like the vaccine studies for the revenue because they're good, but they allow you to do the cool stuff. And I like the new medications, like the
Hmm.
phase 2, phase 3 novel medications that, you know, I,
Maps.
I love, yeah, MABs, peptides. I like the new
I'm
technology.
trying to get that peptide one, man. They said my contact that I got through, who shall remain nameless, from the CRO. I know who's in charge of it at the CRO, said one of their studies is done selecting sites, but they have another one coming up that they'll let me know more about.
I don't, not sure which one you're talking about, but I've got another one I got to tell
Good
you.
because we're recording, but
Yeah,
it's a peptide one.
yeah, yeah. I've got another peptide one that I'll talk to you about
Okay,
as
okay.
well after this. But yeah, no, I love the peptides and the monoclonal antibodies. I think we're doing some of, if not the same, we're doing similar COPD and asthma studies.
What are your staff? Because I've never done vaccine trials. Like I've never really done it like a real one. I mean, we've done two that we enrolled very few patients. We treated it like like one of our regular studies. Um, what do your staff think about vaccine trials versus the more normal, like traditional type of studies? What do they prefer?
I think the ones that have done the vaccine prefer the vaccine studies because it's the same thing over and over. It's a little monotonous, but
Yeah,
it's easy. You don't have as many queries because you get a system down and then it's just boom, boom, boom. You feel like you're so much more efficient and you're
but you don't
busy.
really get to know the patients, right? Like you just see them a few
No,
times, it's over.
um, yeah, because I mean, I'm going to see him 4 times in 2 years on this one.
Oh, so you're not, yeah. I
So
like ours where like, especially in psych, sometimes I'm the psychometric rater when I'm allowed to. And so I feel like I get to know them after a while. Like I don't know. I kind of enjoy that.
Oh, I do as well. I still have patients that are former subjects that, you know, I buy services from. Uh,
Oh, okay.
so one was a mobile car mechanic I use all the time. He was on a COVID study 4 years ago, and then after he finished, and was all better, I reached out to him because I needed my car fixed.
That's real. That's real community outreach, guys.
And,
Where's the white paper on that?
mm, yeah, it's hard because sometimes there was one like I need some house painting done, and I have a subject that's on a trial right now that is a house painter, and he was like, "I'll do it for you," and I said, "I can't right now. If you're on a study, I don't want the optics of
I see.
hiring. I just I don't really.
We've
That's
screened like my barber. Um, we've screened the nail salon people for certain studies. Uh, I mean, I don't see anything
yeah,
wrong
but
with that necessarily.
I don't think so either. But I think it's different if you already had a business relationship with them of some sort or a service
True, true,
ahead of time
true.
going on versus then taking them and being like, oh, sure, no, I'll hire you to do this, stay on the study.
Right, okay, I
That
see.
can be
It might be perceived as coercion, I guess,
right, right,
by a
right.
very strict IRB. Yeah, I got you.
So,
Because community outreach is community outreach. I mean, that's the part that people don't understand. It's just being a human being. Like, if I go to the grocery store and I see somebody there, I saw somebody with like psoriasis.
mm,
Like, it was clear they had a good amount from what I could see, and I just brought it up. Like, hey, we have a derm studies. If you're ever interested, like, we do a bunch of trials. And the person wasn't offended at all. I was a little bit worried they would be offended, but I did it quietly with other people not around. And he was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I give him my card, and he seemed like he was interested.
I know it's um, we were talking about, how they have those eyeglass centers in like
Hmm.
Walmart
Hmm.
in front of the store, and man, would that make a great obesity research site. You could just, I mean, you don't have to walk around and offend people, but just put a sign up for
Plus, for the eye exam, they always need the eye exam too.
yes, kill two birds
It'd
with
be
one.
right.
Yeah, diabetes or a metabolic site just at the front of a Walmart would be fantastic.
So
Um,
Darshan was on last night, in addition to your Phoenix brother, Robert Goldman, or Phoenix neighbor, and Chris Sauber, your brother from another mother. And they were talking about 2034 research prediction. And Darshan, being a pharmacist to a man with a hammer, everything's a nail, he brought up pharmacies as being like dominant players possibly in
mhm.
2034. It's kind of related to what you said. I mean, Walmart's not a pharmacy, but it can be because they do have pharmacies. I don't think it works in that setting in the current context of research as we know it today.
I don't know. I've thought about it because there's like, do you have a Fry's grocery store?
Yeah,
Uh,
we get dry ice from there all the time.
yeah, that's what we do too. But a lot of them, so there's one and it has this little clinic that has what's called a little clinic in it. And
Hmm.
it's like a doctor's office right next to the pharmacy. And I think
Yep.
that would be an absolutely fantastic research site as people are picking up their medications because whether people meet inclusion or exclusion is so heavily dependent on what medications that they're currently on. And it's easy to identify them through
But
that.
not enough space. Not enough space. We've got, you don't see here, we've got one, two, three, four, five suites in here alone. And then each clinic has more storage space for like random kits, boxes until like God knows when. We have boxes for like a decade.
Right.
And
But
like, where are you going to put all that in that price?
where do you think all their inventory in the back is? They have a
Yeah,
big
but that's like their core competency that they don't want to mess with that.
I don't know. There's probably this if it was especially on a new build, it would be if you could design it with a space, there'd be
I see.
it doesn't matter where any new mega store that goes up that's going to have a clinic, taking that clinic space or
Mm-mm.
maybe taking as much as you could, I think would be if it's next to a pharmacy.
But then you got to worry about the more nuanced things like, okay, well, coordinator comfort, monitor comfort. where are they gonna sit? You know, they have to have like a nice place, like at their own desk. Uh,
Usually the Starbucks up front.
so you got to put the Starbucks on the 1572, man.
Um, I'm just kidding, but the
That's the part that people haven't thought through. Like they think on macro levels, which is great, but everything happens in the micro.
I'm baffled about is that insurance company. I don't know why insurance companies aren't like they won't send out marketing for research. They should want to get their insured patients involved in research. It would it would save their costs. It would improve the patient care in most of the cases, but they're completely opposed to it. Now, obviously, they can't for HIPAA, they can't hand over, their client list to sites, but they can certainly market those trials to their they could certainly market trials to their existing customer base. If somebody has Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance, I mean, they have thousands and thousands of patients. Why aren't they sending them the trials that are in the area? Especially, I mean, they have enough medical staff to know these are going to be beneficial to the patients. Most of them end up better whether they get placebo or not because they're still seen at no cost. I mean, these are
I
all
think
they get.
I think they have enough attorneys also to tell them no, because with enough people like Darshan scaring you, I mean, it could be looked at as HIPAA breach, data breach, kickback breach.
Potentially, I'm not an attorney. I'm just looking for the good. So
Yeah, I think that's why the sites will always be needed. I do think my prediction in that video was by 2034, you'll have twice as many doctors doing studies as today, mainly because tech will, like the friction to start a site might be less just based on all the site networks out there and people like us going around. And eventually, I think it grows exponentially at some point. Uh,
I see the
and
opposite.
the tech gets easier. Like the tech will become almost frictionless to where like here's a study passively. You don't have to do anything. It's here. Here's the patients passively. Your best MA can follow this AI and they won't really make mistakes on the study. I do see that happening possibly. Possibly.
I I mean that would be nice. That's a hope so. I think sites are being gobbled up and trying to pushed into larger organizations. Even the
Hmm.
large organization, which I think is going to mean less doctors involved. They're going to have, I think there's going to be more, the big organizations are going to create efficiency with the doctor's labor. There's going to be one doctor that's a PI at four sites around, uh, for, for example, Phoenix, they're going to have locations on the Northeast,
Oh yeah.
Northwest, Southeast,
Yeah.
Southwest side, and one doctor that's the PI over all of the studies bouncing around between them with some lower level staff doing everything else.
Yeah.
Um,
I could
that's
see that.
just
But
because it seems efficient. Is it going to
so
work?
basically
I don't
so
know.
basically there's a world where the doctor becomes commoditized. Like the PI will become a commodity. Just like you go to like any large hospital system, it's not dependent on one doctor. There's just 20 interchangeable doctors there to see patients. And maybe that's going to happen in research too, because of the tech and the streamline, everything becoming streamlined and the MAs. RPI, Dr. Smith predicted in 10 years, his office, he's not talking about research, his private practice will be an MA with an iPad going to room, and the iPad will be like the doctor, and then the doctor will actually have to sign off on it. Like that's going to be the practice in 10 years, if private practice in his prediction.
It it could be. Here's some. What do you think with all these new peptides and the weight loss?
I love it.
Yeah. I think we're gonna. I think it's hugely possible that we see a huge reduction in the need of healthcare because so much of the serious problems in healthcare are driven around obesity and or weight that as people gain onto these, as we're starting to figure out some people aren't producing enough of certain hormones and we're getting more personalized medicine, you're going to see a vast improvement in the country's health overall. And there's going to be, everyone's going to be used to it. The early adopters are long gone already. It's going to be everybody. It's just a standard of life for certain people, but it's going to greatly improve health, greatly improve the health across the nation.
So a couple of things. I think other side effect, we're going to end up solving other issues. Gastric emptying being one. Like there's a lot of already known side effects from these GLPs and a bunch of future unknown ones, I think. And number two, as soon as you stop those GLPs, the issues come back worse than before, according to a lot of the peer-reviewed research I've been reading. And the third thing is there's all like obesity related illness is just a fraction of the illnesses out there. I mean, yeah, there's like lifestyle and obesity are different. Obesity is just one manifestation of poor lifestyle choices. There's other manifestations, there's derm, there's respiratory, there's hormonal imbalances, like seed oils. You're not curing people ingesting seed oils or estrogen causing foods or chemicals. Like obesity is just one manifestation of that. There's others as well.
But it's a huge,
It's a huge
probably the
component. Yeah,
biggest, it's probably the biggest
sure,
component in the
sure,
country,
sure,
that
sure.
faces the US.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a huge, it's going to be a huge reduction in serious problems, I think. I hope. I do think that as people come off the GLP-1s and, the peptides that they're on, that it'll go back to normal. They'll gain weight. I think they're meant to be kind of lifelong medications for most, especially
Yeah.
if you're diabetic. If you're already diabetic, I think we're going to start seeing diabetes greatly reduce type 2 because I think we're getting better at managing weight prior to it happening. That is people that go to the doctor or people that care. The majority of health problems I see is it's really poor lifestyle. People that don't go to the doctor anyway.
Yeah, but the macroeconomic forces will not allow, do not make it so everyone can afford to eat properly. Um, I
Agreed.
mean, where are these biggest instances of obesity and other comorbidities? They're in low income neighborhoods where it's the biggest prevalence of fast food and liquor stores. And in order to maintain that healthy weight after, you got to eat right too. And so I think we might see like a separation of like the haves and have nots as far as healthcare as well. And there's unfortunately, I think in our lifetime, always going to be a surplus of unhealthy individuals, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know if the separation of healthcare. I mean, you mentioned there's liquor stores and fast food more in the low income neighborhoods, but I think that's supply and demand driven. I also, I think that low income neighborhoods are most, I mean, to generalize a little bit, I think one of the largest factor in, economic is responsibility. Irresponsible people end up making less money, and it's because they made poor choices for a longer part of their life. Their inability to make good choices is why they have low income, which is why they also make poor choices with their diet. I think I think poor choices result in poor health and low income. It's not that low income results in poor health
Yeah, well,
most of the time.
macroeconomic, also the macroeconomic forces are not in our favor in that case either, for that to improve anytime soon.
Right.
So GLP-1s, they're still like they're not even approved for most people's insurance plans. Like a lot of the study participants we've put in our studies, they've been prescribed GLP-1s, but if
That's
you look under the hood, oh no, I never took it, my insurance doesn't cover it.
that's almost all of mine. So I was
Yeah,
disqualifying all and then restarted calling them and they're like, yeah, no, they wouldn't give it to me. They wouldn't approve it. So all of a sudden we went from
exactly.
like really concerned to everybody's complaint they can't get it. But
Hmm.
that's I think as the data comes out, it's gonna and as the cost comes down, insurance companies are gonna realize it's cheaper to help these people lose weight than deal with the consequences of the health problems from obesity. It's
Sure, but that's already a decade away, like at earliest, right? So 2034 is going to be here already, and it'll largely be the same. I mean, sure, a lot of these GLP-1s will be generic, but that's about it. Like I I don't think much changes as far as medical conditions in the country
No, I
are
guess
concerned.
short of a timeline. I'm
Yeah. I think you're thinking a century out, maybe. But then we might all be cyborgs, man. Like we might not even be fully biological, like fully organic.
yeah, AI will have taken over.
I mean, Neuralink might fix all the mental illnesses if
Uh,
given enough time.
it could. I mean, that's a really,
But we're
really
over here doing
announcement.
bipolar, panic disorder, and a depression study like coming up. So, you know, for the rest of my life at least, we've got work to do. That'll be for the grandkids to figure out.
You said psoriasis. Do you have a dermatologist? Do you have a
Yeah, we do. We do. Dr. Harris, shout out to Ron Harris.
okay? If there's any dermatologists in the Phoenix area that like to partner up with us, I could really use that. I've
Didn't you have one before?
no, my PI is really experienced in derm studies. He's done, I don't know, 10, 20 of them. I just don't have the patient population. So
Patient Ace will take care of
I
that.
didn't have patient ACE for my last term study in it.
Yeah,
So we didn't do very well, but if we do another, I think that could change. But I'd still like to work with a derm, um, especially
I
because they're
mean,
looking for
there
very.
should be a bunch in Phoenix, and Arizona's like dermatology capital of the world. Maybe here in Florida.
Oh, so you are needing a cardiologist or what else?
No, I have a cardio. I need a study for my cardiologist. So he's the only PI
Oh, okay.
that I have not been able to get a study for, and I'm worried about him just forgetting about us, and I haven't been doing as good a job like following up with him. I mean, I text him every 2 weeks or so, like, hey, this is what I'm applying for. There's just nothing. But until I actually get him a study, he's just gonna not be very interested, and I don't blame him. He's over there doing heart surgeries and stuff like that. So why would he care about what I'm trying to do over here? Like it'll get exciting if it ever gets exciting when I find a study. But the cardio is slow right now
Does he have his own cath lab?
in the hospital, but he's got an outpatient private practice.
Okay.
But we can't do anything in the hospital, unfortunately.
Yeah, those device studies are pretty good for
That's
like.
what Brad tells me. But Brad's got the hookup like within the hospital system. I almost chose the like inverse of that strategy of like everything except the hospital system. And it just goes to show you that two different business models, like kind of opposite of each other, can still work. There's a lot of options in this space for people looking to get in.
There is. Brad's really done a good job with those hospitals. I was actually trying to work with him on, I had a large group. They actually had a cath lab, large cardiology group. And it's, I have to lean back to your, small is the new big. They were just too big of a group. And like you mentioned earlier, their lawyers are advising them this. It was just too hard to come to a contract, especially when they don't understand research.
Yeah.
The CEO who I'm meeting with is bringing up Stark Law, which only applies to referring to yourself for Medicare. It has nothing to do with research.
I
Uh,
think Brad found himself in a unique situation and made the most out of it in like an 8 year period. Maybe he's going on 9 or 10 now. And he's expanding like crazy, man. He's in Arkansas now.
mhm.
And, I talking to him, he's got other states planned. But if you want to talk to Brad, guys, saveoursites.com. Lee Eifler's going to be there. Maybe you and I fly out there together, man. I'm going to have to catch a flight from Phoenix.
Oh, where's it at? I didn't see the new
It's going to
location.
be in Oklahoma City in April.
Oh, okay.
Is there a nonstop Phoenix to Oklahoma? There better be. It sounds like a 2 hour flight at most.
Don't know, but if it's in April in Oklahoma City, it depends. I'll have to see what's going on. I may drive out there.
That's an 18-hour drive.
I know, but it's also there's a whole bunch of motocross tracks I'm gonna take my kid to.
Okay.
I'll make it a vacation
Damn.
for me and my son. And
Yeah, I was thinking the other
trains
option would
still
be road
involved.
trip and do something like that, like just have a bunch of stops. Well, Lee, any advice for site owners
Uh,
looking to deal with these issues, or
I don't
just
know. It depends on the issue.
stay out of research or get in? Like, is it
Depends.
what you thought before you got in?
No. Well, and then
Is
when I
it
got
worse or
in,
better?
it's not after I got in it. I mean, my perception on it changes every year. I keep changing the stuff I'm doing and going.
Do you regret? Is it more lucrative than you thought or less?
The potential is more, but also the turnaround time is a lot higher than I thought. What I will tell you is I see a whole bunch of people that want to keep their day job and then get into research. And I think you got to burn the boats. Either if you're not the type of person that can jump all in, if you don't have the confidence in yourself to build it up, um, you're not gonna build a successful research site working, 5 to 9 after you're worked 9 to 5. A lot of people try that. Now, you don't have to quit your job before maybe you get a study, but the amount of time you need a job during the day that allows you to work most of it on your research site and not for the job. So if you're an entrepreneur and own another company and you can shift your time over, it's possible. But I see a lot of people trying to build sites after hours, and they're going to put a couple hours in after they get out of work. And that's who I see struggle and not
Yeah,
succeed.
yeah. Also being in like hyper competitive areas and expecting it to be easy when it's not. Like, and Phoenix is not yet, believe it or not, like hyper competitive on a national scale.
It's
It's
getting,
getting there, but you're gonna be established by the time it gets to like a Houston or a Miami or a LA.
yeah, I'm
Um,
expanding into Nash right now, and there's probably one of the biggest Nash sites in the country.
wow.
They're actually, because there's just for Nash and Mash, there's just such a, or I guess it's just solely Mash now, really, but there's such a need for it. They're helping me. I mean, they're just a good group and helping me out. I'm buying a FibroScan and we're starting to FibroScan in local offices. But they have all of Arizona on lockdown. In fact, I'm actually doing FibroScans for local physicians in their offices, setting up FibroScan days. But then if they don't have a trial that I fit into, they still need liver help. I'm sending them to this other research site that actually has a practice because they can take care of them clinically. So the people still got help. So it's a huge benefit, whether either they can get in research or they still get access to, a good hepatologist group.
And that is real community outreach. Lee, thank you so much. I know you got a hard stop. Everybody go follow Lee's LinkedIn right now. And he's very open. He's looking to network with everyone. I've known Lee for about 4 years now, and just overall a good dude, and he knows his stuff too. Like, and this
I
is
need
not
more
his first
coordinators
rodeo.
in Phoenix. I need more
Coordinator,
coordinators in Phoenix. Yes.
okay.
Bilingual.
Willing? Are you willing to hire inexperienced?
I will, as long as they are bilingual. Uh,
All
about
right.
60% of our patient population speaks Spanish. So
Okay.
they have to be able to communicate with them.
I'll make a post uh, and post it on a few places. LICR, the Clinical Research Open to Work group that I just met yesterday. Lee Eifler, everyone. His LinkedIn's underneath. Go connect with him right now. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Dan.